Hello, everybody, and welcome here to Simon Scott Assembly Hall at Indiana University. For Trevor Andershock, I'm Jeff Rabjohns with Peegs.com. Your Indiana Hoosiers now 7-0 after a 156 win over Bethune-Cookman. A number of things stood out in today's game, and were sort of things that are continuing their themes. For me, Trevor, I thought one of the things that were really starting, it's almost becoming a storyline early, I use passing ability. 27 assists on 36 made baskets today. 27 assists, only 7 turnovers. The Hoosiers entered the game sixth in the country in assist rate. For those who don't know, that's just percentage of baskets on which there was an assist. So when you have an assist rate, that's really, really impressive. And obviously, shooting helps as well. They're top 60 in the country out of 350 some Division I teams in three-point rate, which is how many you take versus how many total shots, and three-point percentage. So to me, when you look at an assist rate number 6 in the country, good three-point shooting, high volume of threes, seems like a pretty good combination.
Yeah, and with the system Darren DeVries has implemented here, you're going to have a lot of assists because it's not, kind of reliant on players going one-on-one, creating their own shot. It's moving the ball, cutting, spotting up for threes, and skipping the ball to the other side, those type of things. So those are going to lead to assists just by the nature of the system. And then you throw in the unselfishness of the IU players. I think that's kind of what led to so many assists. That first half, 15 assists on 17 made field goals.
Yeah.
That's pretty high for any team, against any opponent, too.
Sure.
And I thought that's kind of set the tone. Obviously, Tucker DeVries scoring so well, hitting the three to start the game and drawing the foul onto the 4-point play. You don't see that too often. I thought that was kind of one of the things that kind of helped kickstart this offense right from the tip. On a noon game after Thanksgiving, students are on break against a team that few people know about.
Right.
Energy, it could be something that, lacking. But today with Tucker DeVries starting off hot and then Tatum Connerway getting in transition a couple times, I thought those couple buckets there to really start the game helped IU get off to a good offensive start, and it carried over throughout.
Yeah, that's a good point. And on the assists, all 5 starters had 3 or more assists. So it's not like you got one guy who's just amazing. You got everybody, like you said, it's the system. And I think it's also really interesting, too. This is a brand new team and brand new coaching staff. He's got guys playing the system, and we're not even through November yet. I think that's pretty good as far as it gives you an idea of what kind of teaching is going on, what kind of acceptance of teaching is happening. I think it was Lamar who said on DeVries' radio show last week or the week before, this is the most unselfish team I've been on.
And we've talked about it. It goes back to also, the way the roster is constructed. They're veteran guys who know how to play the game.
Right.
They don't need to be told, you need to pass the ball here, you need to pass the ball there. It's just a flow of just normal playing, guys that have played a ton of basketball, 4, 5, 6 years of college basketball for a lot of these guys. And it's showing game in, game out on how they approach the game and then how they execute things as well.
Another thing that we got a chance to see today, extended minutes for Nick Dorne. Obviously, he's coming off an injury, but he goes out there, goes 4 for 5 from 3, 14 points, I think it was, in 16 minutes. Everybody knows he was a guy brought in primarily because of his shot making, listed at 6'7". He's one of those bigger, taller wing types that Darren DeVries really likes. Big, taller guys, longer guys who can really shoot the ball. That's something that Darren DeVries really likes. And Nick Dorne's one of those guys. Obviously, he had the foot issue. So he didn't get June, July, August, September, or a normal October. So he is really now just a few weeks into playing 5-on-5 full court basketball. But I thought today was at least him throwing everybody a reminder, here's what I can do.
Yeah, and I think he's the wild card going forward for IU. I think at this point, pretty much what everybody else can do and how they fit together. Nick Dorne's that wild card because he did miss so much time. We haven't seen him in the lineup or the rotation to this point. He can make shots. He's a good three-point shooter. Does he allow the game to come to him and only take really good three-point shots, or does he try to force it a little bit more? That's where things kind of get a little bit wonky for him. But I think, like you said, we've talked about it a couple times now. It's not going to be until January, maybe even deeper into January, that we see a full Nick Dorne, who's comfortable with his teammates and who's full fully conditioned to play more than 20 minutes a night
Right.
at the high major level. So I think going forward, if he can shoot, obviously he's not going to make 4 threes per game,
Right.
but if he can make a couple, 2 or 3 threes per game, that totally changes this IU team. Gives you another consistent shooter to space the floor and just add to the overall offensive firepower.
Yeah, absolutely. Shooting overall was fairly good again. Lamar had a little bit of a struggle, but he, like you said before, he's a really good shooter. If he goes 1 for 8, take another 8, because a good shooter not shooting only hurts teams. Take scoring chances off the floor. So I have no worries about Lamar.
And I like that he was aggressive in the second half.
Yeah.
He got him some cuts to the basket, got him a couple dunks. I think he still scored like 12 in the second half, 12 or 14 of his points in the second half, scoring 18 for the game. So even though he didn't make a bunch of threes tonight, 1 of 8 from 3, I believe it was, he still should have some confidence going into that Minnesota game, going into Louisville, Kentucky, because he is still, a vital part of this offense, and the shots will fall down the road for him.
Right, absolutely. I think we saw again Reed Bailey's passing. Kind of like he's a guy who's played a lot of point forward in his career. Right now, in a way, he's point center at times. He can get a rebound, turn around, and bring it up. But he had a couple nice passes on back cuts. He really sees the floor well. And Trent Sisley has another good game off the court. I mean, Trent Sisley's the start of Trent Sisley's freshman year was somebody coming off the bench, about as good as he gets.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think the things that starting to really stand out is his finishing ability. A couple of his finishes today were contested, going to the hoop, cutting, or, a dribbler here or there. But he was finishing over the top of defenders with different angles, different touch on the shots. You just don't see that from a freshman too often. And then Sam Alexis, again, really good off the bench as well. So you're getting a bunch of production from Trent Sisley and Sam Alexis off the bench. Those are your first 2 subs pretty much throughout the season for Darren DeVries, and they keep coming in and producing night in, night out.
Right. We also got a few more minutes of Josiah Miles. He's still obviously working his way into some things. Didn't have, much as far as stats, but he's another guy who potentially, if they're going to go to 9 in the rotation, he's got some potential there. Certainly Nick Dorne's, the guy you look at who's ahead of him. And certainly it'll be interesting to see in a month who's starting.
Yeah.
If Nick Dorne is playing well, if he's back to where conditioning's to the point you can play 20, 22, 24, maybe 26 minutes, something like that, you contemplate him starting. Either way, once he gets really ready to, there's a difference between I can run and I can play basketball for 25 minutes in a competitive Division I game. But it's going to be interesting to see not just the starting lineup, but rotations, because Nick Dorne gives you another piece.
Yeah, I think the rotations is the more interesting part, because I don't think they're going to change the starting lineups based on matchups or who's playing well for a short amount of time. Now, if somebody plays well game in, game out for 2 months here, I think then maybe a lineup change would come into effect. But it's the rotations that I'm watching most closely, especially Nick Dorne. If he continues to make shots and looks better and better on the defensive end, I think that's the one thing that will get him more minutes, is being better and more locked in on the defensive end and help rebounding. If he does those 2 things, I don't even know if his shooting matters that much to get him on the floor.
Right.
That's what's going to kind of determine his minutes for the next, 5 or 6 games.
And obviously here in the next few games, competition level takes, a big jump up. They go to Minnesota next to start Big Ten play. And then obviously play 6th ranked Louisville December 6th. Bankers Life, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. There in Indy.
Fieldhouse.
Conseco, Bankers Life, Cambridge. You know what I'm talking about. Let's just call it the Fieldhouse. So Indiana, Louisville, 6th ranked Louisville on December 6th. And then, you have Kentucky, and then they come home, Penn State. So it's no more bye games with a couple of P4 games in there. It's all high major here over the next 4. So it's going to be an interesting early season stretch. And obviously December 6th, can't mention it and not talk about what's going on. The headline, Indiana, 12-0, ranked number 2 in the country. Your Hoosiers are playing in the Big Ten championship game. Downtown Indy is just going to be absolutely fantastic. Looking at the Peegs.com message board, I think there are going to be a significant amount of IU fans there. We're talking before Michigan, Ohio State finished, so we can't discuss the opponent. But either way, whether it's Ohio State or Michigan, they travel as well. You're going to have some Louisville fans, basketball fans there as well. I think downtown Indy is just going to be, I mean, it's going to be a great sports day for Indiana fans in the capital city.
Shaping up to be a day of pure red downtown too, with
Yeah.
IU, Louisville, probably Ohio State.
Right.
I mean, and all those fans travel really well. So I think you'll be seeing a ton of red shirts and coats and hats downtown Indy on December 6th.
Absolutely. Well, that'll wrap it up for us here at Assembly Hall. For Trevor Abdushak, I'm Jeff Rabjohns. We'll have a lot more coming for you on the site on Peegs.com.